We have two great guests. She has a clothing line that will be featured at the Indy 500 this week. We talked to Lisa O'Hurley. And our other guest is what some men in Vegas would call an essential worker. We will hear from mentor to the strippers, Camille Childress. Plus, we will grind on the real opening of summer with the PGA giving us some history and MLB heating up. And there's something fishy with the ESPN coverage. Plus, we have our Schmuck of the Week and Who's Got the Swag, and Ginger Snaps is here to straighten out two old farts on music. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Daly Fish. John Daly here, along with Eric Snyder, a.k.a. Fish. We are coast to coast, coming to you from Las Vegas and Myrtle Beach. We talk sports, entertainment, and everything in between. Fish, we've got another good one tonight.
We sure do. You look great today. You look great. I mean, you got your internet fixed. You don't look like a mannequin or something like that. I thought I was in an Andrew McCarthy movie last week.
I know. Hard to believe. It's amazing what really good internet service does and makes you look better.
You're going to crush it today, buddy. Let's roll.
All right. Time for the daily grind. Here's what we're grinding on first. Phil wins the PGA and becomes the oldest major winner. We say good for him. It was a tough course with tough conditions. He held off Brooks Koepka. Now, I think this helps Phil in golf history. He is still overshadowed by Tiger's huge number of wins, but Phil may hold on to the oldest major title for a long time. What do you think, Fish?
I do. I really do. I mean, and you know what? We talked about golf last week. The drama of this tournament, the PGA, was so great. And you're familiar with that course down in South Carolina. That 17th hole, the three with the big water right in the front of there, it's amazing. And the fact that he killed it for all four rounds, and it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. And you're right. I really believe that unless Tiger at the age of 50, if he comes back, gets a couple of majors, I think Phil's going to have it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, what made the PGA so mind-blowing were the fans. I hadn't seen crowds like that in a long time. Now, granted, there was a security breakdown at Kiowa, and the PGA actually apologized for it today. But I have to also think the fans had just so much pent-up glee to be at a major golf event with no restrictions. But here's what's interesting. Koepka kind of hinted that he thought some fans may have been trying to hurt his recently repaired knee. What are your thoughts on that?
You want a little cheese with your wine? Come on. No, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. The people are just so excited to be at sporting events. Now we find out today that the NFL is going to have full stadiums. And last night the Golden Knights played in front of almost a full stadium. So now the people, not only to get a full crowd at Kiowa, but Phil Mickelson, a guy who's well loved on the circuit, is going for the win. Now I don't buy that crap that they hurt his already hurt knee. I think some of his shots hurt him. And you know what? He finished second. What are you going to do? Good, congratulations, but I'm not buying it.
Yeah, it's still pretty scary walking in all that crowd there. You just don't know. All right, let's move on to another thing. Ratings were great for the NBA play-in game between the Lakers and the Warriors. Good sign, or is this just the LeBron, Steph Curry effect that might not last through the playoffs? What do you think?
Well, let's see how it carries over. We talked about the play-in games at the Celtics. You had the Warriors and the Lakers last week, John. And those are three marquee teams in the league. And the commissioner, I'll go back to David Stern, the old commissioner, now Adam Silver, have always said we need our marquee teams making it far into the playoffs. So LeBron's LeBron and Steph Curry, what a massive season he had. But the fact that they had great ratings for the play-in game, it's a good sign.
Yep, I agree. All right, hot baseball teams, Dodgers, Padres, Red Sox, and Yankees are all sizzling. We have the makings of a hot summer, dramatic pennant races. I don't know about you, and I'm sure you are. I am looking forward to this.
Oh, I am too. And, you think if you're a Dodger fan like I am growing up in Los Angeles, it's always the Dodgers and the Giants. You're a Red Sox fan, so it's always the Red Sox and the Yankees. Now the Padres have thrown a whole curveball into this whole thing. They're a great young team and a great, sexy story for baseball. And they lost last night, but they won 9 in a row leading into last night. The Dodgers are on a tear. The Red Sox are on a winning streak. We were 45, 50 games into the season, and we already have hot pennant races. And as the basketball playoffs and the hockey playoffs end sometime in June, baseball takes center stage, and they need this kind of drama.
Yeah, I really think they do. And of course, we don't know what's going to happen at the end of the season because the player's contract is up. So, you just concentrate on this season and enjoy it. And I still say my prediction at the beginning of the year was the Yankees and Dodgers in the World Series, and the Dodgers win again. So anyway, hopefully that's not going to be too much for my Red Sox to take. All right. Now we've got an exclusive from Daly Fish. We have uncovered what the Tebow signing by the Jags has done to the rest of the league? Fish, what do you got?
Well, we last week we had our take on Tebow, and whether you like it or not, he's really inspired a lot of teams and players. Look at, you're laughing already. Look at this guy. This is Eddie Lacy. Look at this guy. You know what? They asked him to now because of Tim Tebow, he's going to run the 40 and try and make it a tight end. He's still running the 40. I mean, it's unbelievable, but at least he's out there trying, okay? Look at this foursome right here, John. Now look at this guy on the left from the Broncos. I won't mention his name, but these two guys, they both play the same sport. That's DK Metcalf, I believe. This guy, it's not actually a good sign to be pregnant when you start the OTAs, organized team activities. As of this taping, his water broke. He's good. He's dilated 7 centimeters. He'll be okay. Look at the bottom here. This is Matt Jones. It's right here where the cursor is, the left, folks. This kid is the number one choice for the New England Patriots. Tell me he didn't go to a keg party last night, and that's Cam Newton, the guy's job he wants to take. Tim Tebow has inspired guys of all ages, all sizes, all genders to come back, and let's have a great 2021. What do you think the guy names the baby, John?
I don't know, but man, when you look at that, you kind of wonder, okay, are they working out, or is it just, are we body shaming and we shouldn't?
Woo! No. Great inspiration. Way to go, Tebow. Tebow time.
All right. If you have a question or comment now, drop it in the chat box here. And if you have comments later, send us an email at dailyfish1, the number 1, dailyfish1 @gmail.com, or post to our Facebook page at daily.fish.5. Okay, time for some binge watching. I'm going to go with one. I'm going to come across like a little old man a little bit in this one, but I'm going with Jack Ryan. That is the Tom Clancy-inspired spy thriller. 3rd season is coming soon on Amazon. No date yet, but here's what I'm thinking. With all the international intrigue that's happening in the news, it might be worth getting caught up on the first 2 seasons. What do you think about that, and what are you bringing?
Love it. I remember the Jack Ryans when it was Harrison Ford and it was Alec Baldwin, and is it John Krasinski's now taking over the Jack?
And he's great. He does a great job. Absolutely.
Watch him in a movie called The Quiet Place. Wow. That's another story. Great. Again, John, you nailed it with Jack Ryan. I've watched it a couple episodes and I love it. I'm going a different direction. I'm watching something called The Godfather of Harlem with Forrest Whitaker. It's phenomenal. It's on Amazon. He plays Bumpy Johnson, who goes away for 11 years to Alcatraz, and he's a kingpin of the heroin deals in Harlem. When he comes back, the Genovese family and the Gotti family, all the 5 families have taken it over. So what this does, it takes fictional characters and takes real families, and Cassius Clay's in this thing, and Malcolm X is in this. It's got a little taste of The Sopranos in it, and I'm 7 shows in, and I can't wait. When we get done with this podcast, I'm going to go watch episode number 8. Awesome.
Very nice. Very nice. Good choice. Okay. Now, something fishy. Something fishy is actually going on at ESPN in the mornings. Fish, what do you have?
Well, it's called the Entertainment and Sports Programming Network, and you and I remember in 1979 when it came out, we were so excited to watch all different sporting events and get highlights. But you would think after just a great event like the PGA and Phil Mickelson winning it, that a guy 50 years old wins a major championship, it would be the top story. It didn't make it to any of their shows until 49 minutes in. I get it. You want to talk about the NBA playoffs. You want to talk about Tim Tebow and Aaron Rodgers, 2 guys that don't pick up a football for 4 months. But you know what? They don't talk about baseball. They don't talk about hockey. They just signed a 7-year contract with the NHL. By the way, John, it was announced 2 hours ago that Wayne Gretzky is leaving the NHL to go with TNT and being announcers. That just goes to show you that you're going to get some clout, as Charlotte Ginger Snap would say, in the NHL. They don't talk about NHL. They don't talk about Major League Baseball. Yeah. So ESPN is going to cover the NHL next year in the start of a 7-year contract. They show more Major League Baseball games than any other outlet right now, and they never talk about it. So I'm just saying it's a little disingenuous that you call yourself Entertainment and Sports Programming Network. I guess you know your audience, John. You're big on this. You've written books about this. Why don't you try and go for different demographics and hit people that maybe you're not getting? Because I don't want to hear about Tim Tebow, Aaron Rodgers, and the NBA every day. I just don't.
Yeah, and I get it, because sometimes they're not going with the programming that would back up their programming, especially the programming that they bought. On the other hand, in all the media companies that I've been around, some of them are really particular about who their demographic is and who they're going after. I mean, I can remember even in the news business, I mean, they would say like, hey, the 5 o'clock newscast, you're doing it towards women. Women are your audience. You got to do that because they're the ones who are home cooking. And it was kind of like, okay, all right, I kind of get that. So I don't know that, but it doesn't make sense because they do seem to cater to the programs that they've bought. And then at other times they seem to go completely against it. So I agree with you. It does seem a little fishy.
Yeah. Well, if you have to cater to your sponsors, I get it. But, I always thought you try, we do a sports entertainment show. We want to hit all kinds of demographics age-wise. I think they would also. But you know what? They're the mothership. They could do what they want. They could tell us to go to hell.
All right. And they probably will. All right. Still ahead, we have Ginger Snap. She's going to school us on youngins' talk and music. Thanks for tuning in here. Again, we are Daly Fish. We are live on Facebook Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. We are on DB&A television on Roku, Amazon Fire, and soon on Apple TV. We're also streaming 24/7 on DB&A television website, which is dbnatelevision.com. Follow us and like us on Facebook at daily.fish.5 and subscribe on YouTube. Okay, time for our Schmuck of the Week. Who's been schmucky this week, Fish?
I'm not going to put Schmuck of the Week. These are the schmucks right here. This is the royal family. I'm going to piss a lot of people off. All right, John, you're of Irish heritage, so you're part of this. I'm not. Okay, and I send all the emails to me. I don't care. My wife is enamored with this group of people, and that goes back to Queen Elizabeth and Prince Charles and Camilla and God rest her soul, Princess Diana. I don't know why we as Americans are so into this group. I guarantee the British don't sit at home and watch the Kardashians every week. If that's our royal family. I mean, I don't get why we love these people so much. We went to war against these people to get our own country, for God's sakes. All right. What is it about, John? Maybe you can enlighten me. Why do people, I hear it in a bar. Did you see what Meghan Markle wore, which is on Oprah and this and that? They're rich people. They have the same kind of drama we do. But you know what? We need to care more about America, not these idiots. Sorry.
Well, and a lot of Americans like the idea of seeing what it's like in a monarchy because we allegedly don't have a monarchy. So I guess I kind of understand it. Now, we're going to get a lot of hate mail from the British because there's a lot of Brits that I know who are, even though they love democracy, they stand up for their royal family. And the royal family's done, I would say, either a good job or a bad job. I mean, they really control a portion of the media there in Great Britain. So they get the publicity that they want. So it can go both ways.
Okay, let me jump in on this. I don't have anything against them personally. It's not a personal thing. I'm mad at Americans being enamored with these people. Okay, they didn't do anything wrong. We as Americans have to say, you know what? We don't have to have 500 million people watch their wedding. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but if people are watching, they're going to put it on. So
great ratings.
All right, so now we go to who's got the swag. Who are we toasting this week, Fish?
Oh, this is Lisa Leslie. She is a WNBA Hall of Famer, great player at University of Southern California, great Olympian, and she is a huge into philanthropy for breast cancer awareness. So not only is she a great athlete and a great person, but she brings so much to the table as far as donating everything she can for breast cancer awareness. And I'll tell you what, I love my wife for 32 years, but if I was to get a hall pass, she's on my list. The problem is she's 6'5" and I'm a midget. I need a step ladder. That's another story. But she's a great person. And you know what? She deserves a swag of the week.
I agree that she does. And we just saw that our buddy John Stamos just did a shooting contest with her and he got crushed.
Sure he did. He had other things on his mind. Trust me. I know Stamos.
All righty. So our drink of the week, we're going to toast Lisa Leslie. Our drink of the week is, what are we sipping here, Fish?
This is for our guest today, Lisa coming up, and Ginger Snaps and Camille and everyone. This is a good old fashioned beer. We're toasting the Indy 500. We're toasting the fact that summer's coming up. We're going to have bikinis, on the beach pretty soon. In your case, John, you like thongs, and there you go. For good old fashioned beer, we toast you.
Here we go.
Salute.
Beautiful. Very good. Good call. And let's go and do a little sponsorship right here. Our drink of the week is sponsored by Shucks. If you're in Vegas and you want great seafood like oysters, crab meat, and shrimp, the place to go is Shucks. They have 2 locations, but go to the Shucks in the northwest side of town. You know why? you get Fish, who does overnights there. That's right. Check out Shucks on Facebook. Shucks is spelled Shucks. All right, time now for Ginger Snaps. She's going to talk to us about music. Charlotte, a.k.a. Ginger Snaps, is here for her weekly tutorial. Ginger Snaps, welcome back as always.
Hello, thank you. And before we jump into music, I do want to say, last week we had a pop quiz, and John, I think I was a little harsh on your grade. So I'm going to give you extra credit, but not just for nothing. It's because a few weeks ago, you recommended the show Offspring, and I took your recommendation, even though I'm supposed to be the one giving you guys recommendations, and it's very good. So I'm bumping you up to a B+. Just wanted to let you know. A little
okay. Well, very good.
Bumping him up. He's a C-. Stop it, kid. Offspring. Offspring's a great band. Offspring. You know.
I don't know.
It's a great show. Now on Offspring, did you see a peach with with a line through it?
Oh, no, I did not.
Oh, Jesus. What an ass you are, John. You know,
all right, let's go ahead with music.
But Ginger Snaps, where I work, when I come on shift sometimes, there's like 4 or 5 kids that are 19 years old, and they're all talking about music. And I said, I'll give the first person a $100 bill, and I snapped it out of my wallet. If you could name me one member of the Beatles. They all went for their phones. I said, nope, that's cheating. Can't do that. Guess what? I put that $100 bill back in my pocket. I think in your generation, that there's not a great history of music. John and I were lucky enough to grow up at the end of crooning. We had the British Invasion, we had Motown, we had punk rock, we had acid rock, we have everything. And now we're living through your music. Do you have a history of music? I know you do, but are you aware of what we went through? And do you think your music compares to ours?
You know, personally, I've actually taken quite a few music history classes. So I think I have a little bit of knowledge, but, I studied music, so it was kind of par for the course. And even with all of that, there's just so much history that a lot of it doesn't really stick. I could have named a member of the Beatles for you, but that's because I took a class that had 2 professors who were obsessed with the Beatles. Obsessed. It was nauseating. But anyway, I think the other thing really is that I think there are certain people in certain genres. I think that people who are into like folk music and stuff like that tend to have a little bit more understanding of previous generations and things like that. And certainly there's kids my age who, whether they're trying to be hipster or not, are like super into the oldies and the classics. But I think really what it is that music moves so fast now. There's like a million subgenres, and especially with things like techno, like an EDM, which is so not my genre, but there's house and then soft house and dream pop and all these things that happen so quickly. And particularly because of social media, like someone can get famous from one video going viral, which I think is amazing. And I think it's incredible because there's so many small artists now who have the chance to be recognized and to get their music out there. And really, I mean, I have random friends who can just put their music on Spotify, and I think that's amazing. But on the other hand, there's such a plethora that it becomes harder and harder to recognize what's come before and to really take the time with it.
Don't you listen to Casey Kasem in the top 40 anymore?
I don't. I don't even know what that is. Can't say I do. But
I'm confirming your point, because when we were growing up, you just had the radio. And you had, 4 or 5 stations, and Casey Kasem was the guy who did the review of what was the number 1 song for the week. And that's where we got it from. So it's exactly what you're saying. The genres right now are just so many because we've got so many things that people can listen to, whether it be YouTube, whether it be on their phone or whatever. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah, exactly. It's not even just the genres, but like there's no such thing as a number 1 song anymore, sort of, because there's a number 1 Spotify and a number 1 Apple Music. There's just so much. I find it very overwhelming. It's like I feel like my favorite band is out there and I might never discover them because like I don't have, Bandcamp or whatever it is, whatever app I should have had to download. So, but I do think that there's a little bit of an interesting wave. I personally like alt rock and folk music the most. But one thing I want to talk about is Willow Smith, who gained popularity a few years ago for some kind of interesting youthful pop, like whip my hair back and forth type stuff. And recently she has really delved into like rock and has made this super interesting sort of style for herself. But one thing that has happened lately is that she has revived some of the music that her mom Jada sang. And I did not even know Jada had a band, but apparently Jada Smith had a band called Wicked Wisdom that was really big for a number of years and like super hot, classic, just like rocker chick on stage, like throwing her hair around. And Willow Smith has been covering some of her songs, which I think is so cool and amazing and so good. It makes me wish that I had the opportunity to be like a groupie and like follow a rock band around the country. You can't really do that anymore. Maybe, but I don't think it's normal.
I think all kids your age, you're not a kid, you're an adult, you're 22 years old. I think I told these kids that couldn't name a Beatle, go watch the movie Almost Famous, a Cameron Crowe classic, which is basically an autobiographical of what he did following a band when he was 15 years old, because a rock and roll band. And it makes you appreciate the roadies, the kids that that hang on to these bands. And here's the problem I have. If you have a jukebox in a bar, it's the number one way to start a fight. I've seen people walk into bars, and I won't use the S word, but who's playing this crap? It's a country music song. I did, and boom, it's shit. And they go at it and this and that. You should be able to appreciate music because you like it. I love Sinatra. I'm a crooner. If I listen to Sinatra, John, if I listen to Perry Como, Tony Bennett, who's still alive, thank God, willing, and I go back. I like Al Martino. He's my favorite part of the Godfather. John, what's your favorite kind of music?
Well, since we have Lisa O'Hurley coming up, I'm going to say, like her husband, I like Broadway, and I love Broadway, especially on the jukeboxes when you're walking into.
I'm very surprised by that.
Yeah, you know what, John? There was no Phantom of the Opera on a jukebox, but I get it. I love show tunes. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I grew up doing musical theater, and I think having had it, it's hard to like listen to that music outside of the actual scenario in which it usually happens.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
I think that there's a lot of show tunes that are incredible, that are they get sort of like cast aside as like, nerdy musical theater stuff, but there's some really beautiful music.
Absolutely. Yeah. Andrew Lloyd Webber, all that. Yeah.
For sure.
All righty.
One thing that I do want to tell you guys really quickly, because people my generation probably won't appreciate it as much. I discovered something the other day called the Call & Oates Hotline. And it's a number that you call, and there's just like a pre-recorded menu, and you press a button and it plays a Hall & Oates song. It's hilarious and adorable.
Wow.
I know, right? But I couldn't tell any of my friends because they don't even know who Hall & Oates is. Oh. So I had to tell you. Actually,
we interviewed them. Remember, Vish?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we interviewed Hall & Oates. Yeah, and they were both great guys. They were really good guys. Yeah, and very talented too. Yeah,
classic.
I got to remember that. That's a good little trivia thing. Cool. I like it.
And great in concert. They were great. I saw them in concert in 1982. Yeah. They were fantastic. It's a great concert to bring a girl to, because the girls went, no, Daryl Hall and John Oates. Oh my God. That's one. We talk about women throwing their underwear on stage. Forget it, but that's for another story for another time. Yeah. You dial in and it's a Hall & Oates song. That's great.
Yep. It's just a regular phone number. I heard some people say that like when a guy asks them for their number and they like don't really want to give it to him, they just give him the hotline. And then later when he calls it, it's like, press 1 for rich girl. Press 2. It's very funny. Call it. It's amazing. And it just plays the song. Like, it through your speaker. I love it.
That is so cool. That is so cool. All right. She is Charlotte. We call her Ginger Snaps. She'll be back next week. Write to us if you have something that she should be schooling us on. Write to dalyfish1@gmail.com. All right, Ginger Snaps. Thanks so much. Looking forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you. See you next week.
You got it.
Bye.
All right, we are just getting started. Up next, we gab with Lisa Meslow O'Hurley. She is the wife of actor, funny man, TV host, and author John O'Hurley, but she is making lots of roars herself at the Indy 500 this week. We will talk to her. First, let's tell you about Medsonics. If you're in Vegas and you are in pain, go to Medsonics. The sound wave technology relieves pain. I have used it. It works for me. It is non-invasive. You sit there for 25 minutes and you relax. It doesn't cure anything. It just relieves pain. The website is medsonics.com, and Medsonics is spelled Medsonix, medsonics.com. Al is the owner inventor. Tell him Daly Fish sent you. All right, let's bring on our first guest. Lisa Meslow O'Hurley is the creator of Lola Sports, a women's fashion design company that is driving ladies golf fashion, and they will be featured at the Indianapolis 500 coming up this week. Lisa, welcome to Daly Fish.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good. I found that last segment very informative. Writing down the Hall & Oates hotline as we speak.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely do that too. Now, we should also tell people that, Lisa is married to John O'Hurley, and Lisa and Fish, you both know that he was famous for his college roommate. You do know that, don't you?
Infamous, actually.
Who was that?
Who was that? I don't know, but I know he's famous for it. So
Right.
Maybe
anyway,
the guy wait, which way am I pointing? Yeah. No, the other way. Okay. It's a little backwards. Okay.
all right. So we want to hear about the indie splash that you're making, but first tell us about the clothing line, because one Fish wears a lot of ladies' clothes.
Well, so John, you and I have known each other a long time. I've been in the golf world a long, long, long time. I played high school golf and college golf and worked for the Golf Channel for 10 and a half years. And then kind of finally found my true passion, which is apparel, because I am definitely a clothes horse. And I had the great pleasure of working for a brand, Golfino, which is a European ladies and men's fashion brand, for the past 7 years here in the United States. And, as with a lot of things at the beginning of COVID, they had some issues, internally, and they had 32 freestanding stores that all of a sudden had to shut. And, long story short, they sold that company. And that oddly opened up the opportunity for me here in the United States as, we had this really great premium ladies golf line, and now it wasn't going to be. And I had great customers and a really great sales team. And I had a designer, and I had manufacturing plants in Portugal. I had everything sort of at my fingertips.
Wow.
And then, decided over a dinner with John O'Hurley that, I should actually put all this to use. And, even though it was a pandemic, there was, it was actually no time like the present. And so, sorry for the barking. And that's probably barking at John. I decided to get all my ducks in a row and started Lola Sport, which stands for Lisa O'Hurley, LA. Actually, my son thought of that name, which is really fun. And we have been in business now for 10 months. We're doing really, really well, have a great following of customers, and all of a sudden, gosh, have an Indy car. Funny things do happen.
Wow. So how does a company get their logo advertised on an Indy car? And do you get to actually pick the car?
Okay, so this is a story on how to pick the right investors, actually, because I had to, as one does when they're starting a new company, I had to foray myself into the investment world. And, I know all of my investors very well. I have 5 investors. They're all dear friends. I know them all through golf. Well, one of them happens to be a race enthusiast. And I did not know this going into it, but he has race cars himself. He belongs to a very cool place out here in California called the Thermal Club, which is like a country club for racing. So there's no golf course, there's racetracks, and you house your cars there. You go there, you stay, you race your cars, you race go-karts, super cool. Anyway, so he's got a lot of connections in racing, and he's a man who very much appreciates experiences and believes that, you're not going to take your money with you when you die. And one of the things that he wanted to do was be involved in the Indy 500. And he knew our driver, Stephen Wilson, who is a British guy, and I'll ask him what he thinks of the monarchy next time I see him. But anyway, he's a British guy, great race driver. And they had become friends. And so Don, my investor, decided to sponsor him in getting into the Indy 500, which basically, you kind of pay the way for these guys to do that. So he had enough credentials to get to be able to race, and just needed the sponsor dollars to do it. So, so he got that, and John called me and said, and guess what's going to be all over the car? Lola Sport. So all of a sudden, in one phone call, I had a race car. And let me tell you, it's kind of like somebody who doesn't know golf going to the Masters. I have poured myself into this sport over the last 2 months. And gosh, I've learned so much. I've been, I just actually got back from Indy, and I'm going again tomorrow. We had a photo shoot there last week. We did the car reveal. It was, it's the coolest thing I've ever been involved in, bar none. It is so cool. That's really the only word for it. And yeah, I'm so lucky. And we're getting a lot of great feedback. The fact that it's two sports kind of marrying together, and, they may seem really far from each other, but the more that I'm getting into the race world, the more that I realize how similar it is to golf. The fans are equally crazy. They're crazy for the sport. They're crazy for their drivers. I mean, look at the Phil Mickelson scenario that went down this weekend. I mean, how much can you adore, a certain player, and they feel the same way about their drivers? There is a passion for their sport, very similar to golf. And I'm all for it. I mean, I'm right there in it, and it's super fun.
You look at three guys. You look at John Daly, John O'Hurley, and their buddy Bryan Cranston. Cranston gets Breaking Bad, phenomenal. O'Hurley gets you, and he gets Seinfeld, To Tell the Truth, and Daly gets me. How lucky is this guy? But I want to give you some trivia about the Indies. I mean, back when John and I were younger, in the 60s and 70s, Lisa, IndyCar, Formula One racing was more popular than NASCAR, big time. Mm-hmm. And guys like Mario Andretti and AJ Foyt, forget it. If I was to tell you that Michael Schumacher, when he raced, was the highest paid athlete in the world, people would say, who's that? So this, but people don't realize the kind of money, the kind of prestige, and how popular Formula One is in Europe. It's crazy. And in South America and what have you. It's sort of like soccer. And so your clothing line is are you gonna have some? Are you gonna be actually selling it at the Indy 500? You're gonna have boots there?
No, I'm not. And nor is Stefan going to be wearing a skirt while he races. We're not going to get that close, but no, but my logo's all over everywhere. The branding opportunities there is just amazing. It's all over the car. It's all over his fire suit, the pit crew. Every truck that goes by. I mean, it's super cool. And the ladies, so I have kind of decked out a few of the race wives and race ladies for the event. And so I've sent them some outfits, which is great because, even though Lola Sport is rooted in golf, I'm a fan of most all sports. And I think that women are like that. And I want to support sports, and I make sporty clothes that, you can wear them to play golf, but you can also wear them to play tennis and pickleball and do yoga in, whatever. Aside from swimming, we pretty much, make an all sport line. So, so I am supplying some female clothes to some of the ladies who are big in racing there, but otherwise, no, it's just a fantastic opportunity to kind of marry in with such a popular sport. Could it be possible that we see Lola Sports at some of these NFL gift shops, all these teams? And it'd be great if we saw your line doing Raider gear, and why not Philadelphia Eagles, wherever your team is, Major League Baseball. I just did a tour of Allegiant Stadium for the Raiders. Huge Raider image store. A lot of women's clothing there. So I'm putting a plug in for Lola Sports. Get in the NFL, get into Major League Baseball, NBA. You want to go with Lola Sports? Yeah. Well, it's funny, just having this experience the past few weeks, it's made me realize, don't count anything out. I never, ever in a million years would have thought that I was part of a company, or much less owned a company, that was on the side of a race car. So, every business opportunity that comes at you is an interesting one, and one that should be considered because it's, I'd be very sad if I missed this.
Well, can I ask you, what's it like? I've never been to a Formula One race. I don't know if John has. Can you tell us the experience when those engines get revving? I heard it's an adrenaline pumper like none other.
Well, to be honest, I mean, Sunday is going to be my first time in the actual race. So I was just there though. I did see them practice, and I have to say the sound is it's awesome. It's I want to make it my ringtone. If just the room, I mean, it really gets you going. The adrenaline high is way up there, and we don't necessarily have that in golf, but we have the adrenaline rush, but we don't have the sound of that. So I don't know. I will let you know more after this weekend.
All right, we're going to have you. We're definitely going to have you back and have you give us some advice on that if you can, because I've always asked your husband this, and we got a couple of minutes left here. What advice would you give somebody who's trying to get to a major golf event, one of the majors like the PGA this week? And if they got there, what would your advice be to them?
Well, isn't it, you mean as a spectator, John?
Yes.
Well, first of all, isn't it cool to see people back?
Yes.
To see, fan galleries. I mean, they had that unfortunate gallery incident Sunday, but still, I mean, you're right. It's the, just the emotion of being there and the excitement of actually getting to be there. So, first of all, okay, I would say the majors are great. I would not choose, however, if you're going for your first golf event, I would not choose the Ryder Cup or the President's Cup because there's so few people out on the course, and there's all these people, following one or two groups. This is what happened in my house. But, I think that, majors aside, any tournament is great. I mean, anytime you get to watch live golf and pick somebody and follow them around and actually look at their game and look at how their, their course management, as well as their swing and style and stuff. It's super cool. And for a golfer, very informative, to be honest. I can learn as much watching a junior player, watching an LPGA player, watching a PGA player. I'm always learning something.
Actually, one of my tips I give a lot of guys is go see an LPGA event, because they hit the ball just like you do and better. And you'll get more tips from them than you would playing with the PGA guys. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. All right. Yeah. All right, great. Well, Lisa, we really appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. Good luck this weekend. Hopefully Steph is going to win. Oh yeah, we're going to be watching.
Yeah, remember, 25. Let's see, 11 o'clock Eastern, NBC. Don't miss it.
All right, we'll be watching for you. That's for sure. All right. We've been talking to Lisa Meslow O'Hurley. She is creator of Lola Sport, a women's fashion design company that is driving ladies' golf fashion, and they're going to be featured at the Indianapolis 500 coming up this week. Check out her site. It's lolasport.com, and that's LOHLA sport.com. That's Lisa O'Hurley, LA. So LOHLA sport.com. Lisa, thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. We'll have you back on. All right, coming up, Camille is going to talk to us about how the business of stripping is taking off in Vegas, even during the pandemic. But first, check out Undercover Jetsetter. It's a travel, food, wine, mixology, and golf show. I happen to co-host it and co-produce it with Susan Anzalone, and we bring you great locations, recipes, cocktails, and wines into a TV show that is all shot off the iPhone. We even wrote a book about it. Check us out at DB&A channel and also on YouTube. And if you're in the hospitality industry, let us help you get more customers. Contact us at info@undercoverjetsetter.com. All right, let's bring in our next guest. Camille Childress is a mentor to professional strippers in Las Vegas. And as we said, those are essential workers for many male visitors to Las Vegas. Camille, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you, John.
Nice to meet you as well. I've heard so much about you.
Don't you guys know each other? John, weren't you a customer at one time?
I wish I could say I was, but I wasn't.
Quiet. I'll always stay quiet. If you're one of the customers in there, I will always stay quiet. Nobody knows.
Okay. You keep quiet.
Nice to meet you, John.
Nice to meet you as well. Thanks.
We're losing a little bit of your audio, Camille. It's leaning a little bit. We can't hear you. So.
Oh. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're good now. We're good.
Is that a little bit better?
Yes.
All right. So one thing that I do have to say, Ginger Snap, when you guys were starting to talk about music, first off, who does not know anything about the Beatles?
Well, it wasn't her. It was her generation. It was her
Well,
generation.
no, that's what I was saying is like, I actually played the final countdown by Europe to my granddaughter and said, hey, once I get online, you have to go in the house because you can't hear the words that are going to come out of grandma's mouth. I don't want you to look at me in a different way. So I love you, sweetie. Like, here's a popsicle. Go in the house.
Right. Speaking of popsicles, you know, you have been in the adult entertainment industry for a long time. When I first met you and you walked in and said what you did, I said, you know what? I have to make more tips so I can go visit this woman. I mean, I've never been to a strip club in my life, but the bottom line is, during the pandemic, I had people walk into my bar. I had a girl walk in my bar and say, how'd you make money? And she said, you'd be surprised what a PayPal account, a banana, and 2 orifices could do. And I said, we got to get Camille Childress on the show because you've mentored.
One thing that I'm going to say about that, Eric, is before the pandemic hit, actually the Spearmint Rhino was actually doing things with the dancers where they had their own YouTube channels that everybody subscribed to, and their customers that would come in that couldn't be there at that moment still followed them, watched them put their makeup on, watched them get ready, watch what outfits that they were going to wear. And very fortunate that those girls had that to do when the pandemic hit. So there was some girls that actually were able to continue their customer relationship with that. So it might have been like a hey, might have been a little hey, it might have been a banana. I don't know.
Well, you've mentored hundreds of strippers. You showed them the ropes. It's like you're taking a kid off the street and said, look, this is the way you're going to make $1,500 a night. Yes. Did you ever see a girl right off the bat and you said to yourself, this girl has it and I know she's going to be great? And you've seen a beautiful girl and says, you know what? She has no swag whatsoever. She's going to suck at it. Could you tell right away, Camille? Okay.
You know what? Actually, one thing that with some of the dancers there, the entertainers, we were always talking about what they should do, what they need to do. They want to go back to school. So I inspired a lot of girls to go back to school. So fortunately, what is beautiful about 2020 that actually ended up happening is a lot of these girls went back to school. They didn't have work to interfere with that. So they got their education. And they actually, there's a handful of girls that actually graduated this year. Bartenders, waitresses, dancers, they all were able to concentrate on their whole entire thing.
That's great.
Their life in general, and they made it happen. And I'm very proud of a lot of these girls. And some of the girls had to move back home and try to figure everything out. And they're like, oh man, they call me and they're like, all right, well, I'm a waitress now. How do I do this without acting like a stripper?
Yeah. So you're a waitress and you say, can you please tip me in my G-string? Wow.
Right.
Wow. Hey, I got to ask you, I don't want to put you on the spot, but tell me what goes on and tell America what goes on in the so-called back rooms. So you give like, well, I'm saying there's a back room and there has to be a form of etiquette. John, don't get nervous. We're not going to be too raunchy here.
I'm getting choked up.
But if I have $1,000 and I say I want a back room, does anything go, or is there an etiquette of decorum? And that's all I want to know.
Right. First off, I want to put this in there.
What's that? Detroit Tigers. No, she's got a great knowledge of Detroit sports.
Oh, cool.
She'll tell you about the Lions, the Tigers, the Red Wings, the Pistons. But back to the back room. I guarantee you, some of the Lions have been in that back room after the way they played the last recent years.
I don't know if I can name drop exactly, but I am going to tell you. All right, so Drew Barrymore is amazing. She used to come in all the time with nobody watching her, no bodyguards. She would come in. She was cool with everybody. She even bought people shots.
Wow.
But at the same time, with her, I will say, when they say no sex in the champagne room, that does not mean that oral sex is not allowed.
Wow, that's a bombshell. That's a bombshell.
There's a little bit of oral.
She was in E.T. Now I'll never watch E.T. again the same. Oh my God, wow. So, John, you're awful quiet right now. So, John, you want to ask Camille something about?
I'm just taking it all in. I mean, as a news anchor in Las Vegas, I'm shocked to hear anything like that.
You're taking it all in. So did you, Barrymore. So,
you know, 3 people got fired from that.
No, stop. No, I'm just saying, because there's such a great, you know, the adult nightclub business is big in Atlanta and LA and Detroit, but Vegas is where my friends, we want to go to strip clubs. And I said, you have strip clubs in LA, not like Las Vegas. What do you do? What do we do different here? Camille, what do they do different here in Las Vegas that they don't do in Los Angeles?
The thing that we do so different here is that we actually have girls, because Spirit Rhino is the #1 strip club in Vegas. And the thing is what we do different here is we have so many girls from all around the country that fly in for certain things, that certain what am I looking for?
Weekends.
Like when they have conventions. Yeah. So actually, I do have to tell you this one story about a customer, if you guys don't mind. So it was the rodeo, and there was this wife and husband, and her husband ended up like placing, I think, like 2nd or something in the rodeo. So they came into the bar, they had a great time. She had a girl, he had a girl. They came into my room. I was feeding them shots because they're like, oh yeah, we need to do more shots. We're celebrating. This is awesome. And so, you know, I don't know if you guys know this, but rodeo people, they put their hat upside down so that they don't have to fold, right? So she took her hat off, put it upside down. And when I was getting ready to bring the 2nd round of shots, because now she's on an hour with this girl, and she puked in her hat. So now I say, all right, so now the dancer that she's with says, hey, you know what? She just puked in her hat. And I was like, oh man, let me go and grab a rag. Let me grab water. I'm going to switch her shot out for water. And as I'm on my way back up, she got her 2nd one. She's like, yeah, woo! Put her hat on her freaking head.
Oh my God. Wow. That's great. Boy, we're taking this show to a new level.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
I mean, of course, like I'm seeing the dirt and I'm like, ooh, ooh,
Yeah.
ooh. Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, there's so many funny stories. One thing that I do have to say though, George Lopez is the most amazing person. He is so dedicated to his wife. He came in before one of his shows, brought 2 of his buddies in that he works with, and they ordered a bottle of Patron, and he got a couple of girls in there for his boys and said, nobody's taking their top off. Nobody's like doing any lap dances. And we're just here to have a good time before I go into like my show. So I went back in there to check on him. Like 15 minutes later, bottle was empty. And I'm like, do you want another shot? And he's like, Mia, no, I don't need another shot. I'm just trying to like get comfortable because I have a sold out show. So this is what I'm going to do. And then this one girl that was sitting in there, she's like, oh my God, you're so funny. And he looked at her and he's like, OMG, it's so crazy that I'm a freaking comedian and I get paid to be funny. Like, come on, girl. Like, get it together.
That's great.
But it was beautiful. I mean, his bottle was $450 and he tipped me $500.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a great thing about that guy. Gets it. This whole town's about tips, and in your business, I mean, like I said, the great thing about having the strip clubs open again, if you're a guy that works overnights and you see girls walking at 4:00 in the morning, they want to be left alone. They drink, they gamble, and they tip, and that's it. John, talk about an airplane ride you had. Talk about a couple of airplane rides.
Actually, Camille, one of the things when I was hosting Real TV back in the 90s, I would have to fly down from Vegas to Burbank every Monday, and then I'd fly back on Thursday. And invariably, I sat next to a woman who was a stripper. And it was a lot of women who were actresses or wannabe actresses who would audition during the week, and then they'd fly down and work in Vegas. And I got a chance to talk to some of them, and some of them were making a lot of money. Back in the 1990s, they were making like $150,000. And it really opened my eyes to this was a business that a lot of these women were supporting, their husbands and their kids at the same time too. And to me, it was a real eye opener.
Well, the one thing that I can never understand, John, seriously, is how can your husband allow you to do this? That was one thing that I used to ask these girls that had a family. What is your husband doing for a living, and how are you the bread maker? And I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but sending somebody home blue balls and how is it okay to be on somebody else? I never understood that. But at the same time, there's a lot of these girls, a lot of these women, and I do have to say the pandemic, right when that hit, it actually helped a lot of these girls out, which is so fortunate that they actually were allowed to concentrate only on college and get their degrees. I know two handfuls of dancers, bartenders, waitresses that actually ended up getting their degree, and now they moved on they don't have to be back there.
Well, so, I'll jump in. Camille, I don't want to cut you off, but I have a lady that lives down the street, still lives down the street from me, and I've been in this house for 27 years with my wife. Thinking she's driving a BMW. She's drop dead gorgeous at 28 years old. She was making back in 1995, single mom. She's making like $150,000 to $200,000 a year, and continue to do it for the next 15, 16 years. So if I'm married to her, and if I'm safe in my skin, and my wife's making $200,000 cash, I'm good with that. If she's coming home to me every night, I don't have a problem with that. That's it. You know what? You say, baby, you make the money. I sit home with the kids. That's all I'm doing. I'm doing it. Camille, before we let you go,
she takes a shower before she gets to you.
Yes.
Sprinkles on you.
It wasn't my wife. It was John's wife. No. Anyways, before Camille, tell us what you're doing. Tell us what you're doing now. You got a great new thing going on with your daughter. Tell us what you're doing now. And maybe, so tell the people out there that when it's available and when we can get it.
Yeah, me and my daughter, I've actually enjoyed being at home now because I'm taking care of my grandchildren while my daughter's working. And we're also starting our own company. It's called Skin City. And it's all 100% organic lotion, soaps, scrubs, facials. And also we're doing candles, incense, and tie-dye that is all natural because we're using actual flowers and boiling the flowers down and getting the color out of those and dipping it into there instead of actually using dye.
Wow.
So we're doing that. And we're really excited about it. My granddaughter is just going crazy right now. She's like, Grandma, we need to get this business going. Get up. Let's do this. So
you have a launch date?
Is
there a launch date for this?
We are in the process of, I actually worked for 2 years on getting the soap just right, because since it's all natural and there's no lye in it, it took me about 2 years to figure out what kind of, and actually it's shea butter that makes it sudsy.
Wow.
So so it took me about 2 years to figure out the soap, figure out the lotions, and now we're working on other things to make sure that we have a really good status going on. And yeah, we're really excited about it.
Wow. Camille, do you have a website that people can go to?
We're in the process of getting that website. I just want to make sure that we have our product 100% before I even I don't want to pre-ejaculate.
Well, we will, once you get
We'll do that for you.
Get it to us, and we'll put it on the show here. So that's great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right. We've been talking to Camille Childress, a mentor to professional strippers in Las Vegas. She's also, as we just found out, she's an entrepreneur with some hand creams and soaps and candles. And we're going to find out more about that. Hopefully we'll get her back on the show here. She used to work at Spearmint Rhino for more than 14 years. Camille, thank you so much for coming on Daly Fish. It's great to finally meet you.
You know what? Thank you so much, John. It's a pleasure to meet you. It's a pleasure to meet you. Fish,
Thank you so much.
I just love your ass. You're handsome.
Wow.
You have to, but the thing is, you have to stay handsome because you got a beautiful wife. And
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But I'll be seeing you. I'll be seeing you at my job before I see you at yours, honey. See you later. All right.
You know what? Actually, what I would love for you to do is let me know your days, because I would like to give you and your wife some samples of what's going on, so that you know what we're doing.
And we'll talk about it on the show. We really appreciate it. Okay. Thank you so much for coming on. You look great.
Camille, thank you. All right. All right. Coming up, we're going to take a look at next week's show. First, looking for a great golf getaway, head to the Myrtle Beach Golf Trail. Dozens of courses along the Carolina coast. Set up an entire trip for yourself, your family, a bunch of friends. The site is myrtlebeachgolftrail.com. You can play here almost all year round. All right. We're going to wrap up this week's show. We're going to talk about next week's show. How much time do we have there, Fish?
A couple of minutes. What do you think about that? That was pretty informative, don't you think, John?
Well, it was really interesting. I mean, both having Camille and also Lisa on there talking about the Indy 500 and her clothing line, and then and I was like, with Camille, I was like, well, do we go there, or And at the same time, too, she was great, and it is a legitimate business, especially in Vegas. And then she's taking that entrepreneurial spirit and creating these new products. I think it's really good. So you got to do a demonstration on the show for us when she gets the products to you.
Well, that's the thing. We have a lady that's trying to push her clothing line, and we have a lady that makes a living taking off her clothes. So, I mean, it's just the whole dichotomy, man. It was great. It was just a lot of fun. Next week, tell me we have next week. Baseball fans and fans of what you used to do are going to really be enlightened by what we have on next week.
Well, next week we have our Ken show, and we're not talking about Ken of Barbie and Ken. No, we're talking about two Kens. The first Ken is Ken Singleton. He's the former Major League Baseball star, currently a broadcaster with the Yankees. We're going to talk to him about the American League East, but also about a big celebrity golf event he has. It's coming up in the D.C. and Maryland area that you should hit. And then we're going to talk to Ken Davis. Ken is a longtime producer and journalist in the news business and also in Hollywood. His book is called In Bed with Broadcasting. He is one of the most insightful guys. He worked with me at Real TV. He was a blast to be around, and he's one of the nicest guys in the business as well. So we've got double Kens next week on the show. So we had two beautiful women, and we got two great guys coming up next week.
Two Barbies today, two Kens next week. What the hell? No, I just got a text from the Drew Barrymore's lawyer. I'll see you later, John. I'm on a plane flight to Venezuela after the show.
Absolutely. I'll have to catch you there. All right. Remember, watch Daly Fish live on Facebook at daily.fish.5. We are seen on DBNA television on Roku TV, Amazon Fire, and also Apple TV. We're also streaming live on DBNA television website, which is dbnatelevision.com. And we're also on YouTube. Folks, thanks for watching, and let us know what you think. And we'll see you next week. Thanks, Fish.
Thanks, John.